and David Amblas to present you FAPEC, a compression tool for the efficient browsing and transfer of watercolumn backscatter data. Well, first, I'll start with some background focusing on space missions, as FAPEC was born as a tailored data compression for Gaia, an European Space Agency mission. Well, the Gaia satellite acquires 65 gigabytes of data each day, and this amount of data is compressed to 25 gigabytes using a seed of FAPEC. Well, currently the mission has a census of 1.8 billion stars, and this is about 1% of the content of our galaxy, which may be compared to the also very limited civet mapping available for our oceans. Then going back to the space domain, the current trend are CubeSats. Well, CubeSats are small and cheap satellites, which are quite useful for commercial and educational space missions. Well, the massive development of the CubeSat requires to deal with some limitations. For instance, the downlink, because it's quite limited, and also the limited computing power on board and the complex data formats. These kind of limitations are also applicable to the maritime case. For instance, AUVs and CubeSats share this kind of limitations, but AUVs are less studied. Well, then in the state of the art and trying to answer some of the questions that the work group suggested, to compress watercolumn data, there are available general purpose compressors like zip, which are low performance and are only lossless. There also exist some ad hoc implementations of algorithms described in research papers. For instance, in these 4 papers, there are this kind of algorithms. Another problem is that there are no lossy compression options. So either you compress everything with zip and without losses, or you don't compress anything. But there's an exception that it's FAPEC. Well then, what is FAPEC? FAPEC is a high-performance data compression solution, and it offers a suite of preprocessing stages, including images, and in particular, multi and hyperspectral images, and also what we call wave data. That's mainly audio and radio frequency data. The approaches are both lossless and, in some cases, lossy. And well, it's fast, multi-threaded, and it offers encryption for the compressed files. In some cases, like in the watercolumn, it also offers data analysis capabilities. And well, it's implemented in C software. This is quite interesting because both the CubeSats and the AUVs are run on hardware that is ARM, and well, C works well with all the hardware. Well then, the FAPEC can be used either through the terminal or using an API, which can be either a native C API, a Java API, or a Python wrapper that we already offer. And well, currently it's an operative system. It's run in 100 satellites, and you can download it from here to test it in the watercolumn data files that you may have. And to see the FAPEC in action, the performance on watercolumn data, well, we have an algorithm that's specific for the Kongsberg watercolumn data, but it is easily adaptable to other vendors. And the support is for the legacy watercolumn data that it's supported since 2019. And we also support the new KML format since last year. Well, by default, it's lossless, but you can configure 16 different lossy levels for amplitude and phase samples. Here, the interesting part is that you can apply different levels of losses in the amplitude samples or in the phase samples. Because in some cases, you may be interested in to compress further the phase samples or even remove them, but keep a low level of losses in the amplitude samples. Well, regarding the performance, there are here 2 plots. This one is the compression ratio, and this one is the throughput. This part is interesting for real time anyway. Well, regarding the compression ratio, FAPEC is 22% better than gzip and ZT standard, and 9% better than bzip2. And as you can see, it's much faster than gzip and bzip2, but it's slower than the standard, but not much slower. So, well, in fact, both the standard and FAPEC allow for real-time compression. Besides the water column data, we can also compress bathymetry data. That's in the Kongsberg data format. It's the MRZ format, the multi-beam row range and depth datagram. We also can compress the sense latitude data, which is not, I think it's not multi-beam echo-sounder data, but it's also quite important and it appears in a lot of files. So we also have an implementation for this kind of datagrams. Well, as in the water column case, it's easily adaptable to other vendors. And in this case, it's always lossless. Well, and regarding the performance, on average, is 35% better than other standard compressors, as you can see in this plot. And this is very interesting because it is faster than ZT standard. And well, ZT standard is a very fast compressor that's developed by Facebook, and achieving faster, higher throughputs than ZT standard is, well, it's very good. Okay, now I move to the lossy part. So it's only about water column. No lossy applies. The lossy doesn't apply to the bathymetry case. Well, here on the right, you can see this first image. It's the original one with 256 shades of gray. And here you can see some gaze flares. Then if we apply the fourth level of losses, which reduces from 256 shades to 52 shades, well, you can see that maybe we lost some contrast, but the flares are still, you can see still them here. And this last case is also very interesting because this is the 10th level of losses, which reduces it to only 11 shades of gray. And well, here the feature is still here. So, and well, this is interesting because here on the left, we have the different sizes for different types of compressors. And well, this is the original file is 930 megabytes. With bzip2, it's well 650. And FAPEC, as you see, the lossless FAPEC is also better than this one. But this one, the last image, is generated from a file which is only 200 megabytes, which is 5 times less than the original one. Well, in fact, this file is a combined file of bathymetry and water column. So what we did here was to apply the lossy algorithm to the water column data and compress the bathymetry part with lossless. Okay, so now I'll move from the compression part to the edit value of FAPEC, or the basic data analysis that can be performed on board. In this first plot, we can see the compression ratio of each datagram, yes, in terms of time. Well, here you can see that there is like a peak in this time instant, which corresponds to this scene, which precisely has some gas flares here. So what we see is that the datagram ratios correlate with the features in the water column. Because when there is a gas flare or a feature in general, we can appreciate a drop in the compression ratio. Moreover, in this case, here we show the samples in each datagram, also over time. And we can see that when the depth is 1,050 meters, there are less samples than when the depth is 1,500 meters. And the interesting part is that these two plots are generated from a text file, which is only 100 kilobytes, compared with the almost 1 giga from the original KML file. Therefore, it allows us to see the interesting data files with just 100 kilobytes, and based on these plots, decide if we are interested in transferring the whole file or not, or just some parts of it, or whatever. Well, besides the maritime in maritime missions, this option is also being explored in CubeSat space missions. because as I said earlier, the problem is the same. The transmission wing is rather poor, and we want to optimize it. Well, and just to sum up, I will just repeat myself and repeat the key points of the presentation. The current options for compression of water-column data are low-performance lossless options like zip or other general-purpose compressors, either manual implementations of algorithms from research papers, or FAPEC, which is a fully operational solution, which also provides lossy compression. Well, regarding FAPEC, it's, as I said, it's versatile, easy to integrate and use. It's efficient, fast, and reliable, and well, it's already being used in many satellites, so it's not something that's very new. It has an operational background. And finally, regarding the multi-beam echo sounder, the application of FAPEC to the multi-beam echo sounder case, well, as I showed in the plots, it has better ratios than GZ, the standard, well, these general purpose compressors. It offers lossy compression options, which these ones do not provide. And as I said earlier, the files can be compressed up to 5 times smaller, and the features can still be observed in the file. And as I just said, there are some basic feature detections that may allow the user to decide if they want to download the whole file or not. So, well, in the particular case of the Kongsberg multi-beam echo sounders data, FAPEC is currently the best option, and well, it can be easily extended to other vendors if needed. And just to conclude, well, we would like to thank Terje Haga Pedersen from Kongsberg Maritime because, well, for his support with the new KML data format, because it was quite new and, well, was not very straightforward to get into it. And also for providing the first test datasets that were used mainly to develop and test the algorithm. And also to Garrett Mitchell from Fugro for providing some legacy bathymetry and water column files, and also the KML files used with the gas flares in the lossy slide. So, well, thank you very much. That's all. If you have any questions.
Mark?
Yes, I have one question. Great talk, and I must say I'm absolutely impressed by your graphic showing the level of compression and isolating the informative part of the water column. Yes, can you come back to that? Do you
this one?
Yes, this one. Do you think that can be applied to very long record of water column just to say, okay, in this part I have reliable, I have information. I can remove all the rest.
Yes, in fact, I think that's possible because if you are sure that you only have the information in some part, you can even do lossless compression in this part and apply the highest level of losses to the other part. Because in fact, the highest level of losses this completely eliminates the data. So you could do that. Just preserve the lossless part in where the feature is and remove the information in the other datagrams.
Can we organize a test about that?
I'm sorry?
Can we organize a test on that using our own data?
Yes, I think so. Maybe Jordi could answer better to that because he manages this part.
Yeah. Hello. Hi, everybody. Yeah, sure. We would be happy to do a test like this. Actually, this is related to a development that we are carrying on now with a project with the European Space Agency, and we are developing some kind of smart lossy approaches, detecting automatically the part of a given data file, be it nature radio frequency or water column data file. And when we detect some features or some presence of signal in general, we are much more conservative to keep the interesting information. Whereas in the rest, depending on the accuracy level that we may configure as a user, we could even destroy all the rest or just set a very high level of losses, but still perhaps trying to keep a bit of the stronger features, just in case we overlook something. So yeah, in short, we could do some tests with that.
Okay, thank you very much.